Tell Me More podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures. My name is Olivia Molly Rogers and I'm excited to get comfortable in the uncomfortable with you and remind you that nobody is perfect and everybody has something going on behind the scenes that you may not know about. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome back to Tell Me More. Today we are joined by the gorgeous Tegan Martin, who is a former Miss Universe Australia. She has appeared on shows such as I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here and Celebrity Apprentice. She has also hosted her own TV show, co-hosted podcasts and done many other things. Tegan also has a diploma of health and science and a passion for health and wellness. She's also a beautiful friend of mine. She's funny, warm, kind, honest, and not what you'd expect, I think.
You're about to find out.
I'm very excited to have you here with me, Tegs.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is so weird. We talk about a lot of this stuff over coffee, but now we've got a microphone, so
I know.
God help us.
Well, it was recently when we were catching up and we were sort of reminiscing on weird Miss Universe things that I was like, oh, I think that this should have a microphone.
I feel like
involved.
We need to show the world what really happened.
Yeah, because for you it's been 10 years now.
A decade.
Yeah.
How crazy.
And it's been coming up 7 years for me. So
we always spoke about how interesting it was that I won at 21 and you were 26?
I was 25.
25.
Yeah.
Which is not that many years difference, but in the scheme of life, like you were probably a lot more ready for it than I was. Like I don't know what I was thinking really. 21,
well,
I was still a baby.
That's a perfect opening because I would love to ask you why you decided to get into Miss Universe in the first place.
So I was a hairdresser in a little salon in Newcastle, minding my own business, blow dry after blow dry, washing hair, sweeping floors. And I used to be blow drying my weekly client's hair thinking like, I feel like there's something more out there. Like I have this like fire in my belly to do something really exciting and adventurous. And, you know, I just had this feeling that I was going to do something really big, but I was like, I don't know when it's going to happen because I feel like all I do is wash hair. And one of the girls at my work actually coerced me into entering. I can't remember. I feel like they might have even entered me. And I was like, what? I have no idea what that is. I don't have a dress. I don't have the money to buy a dress. I'm an apprentice on $6 an hour. Like, what do you want me to do to enter this thing? Like, this is a really big deal. And I ended up pulling it all together. My dress was like this really cheap dress that I'd managed to save up for. Like it was all pretty chaotic at that point. I had no idea what I was entering into.
And how old were you? Because this wasn't when you were 21. This was before that.
I must have been 18.
Yeah.
I think I was 18.
Just a baby.
Just a baby, yeah. And I came second. So that probably was what kind of sparked my interest in it more. When I entered that first time, it was not with the intention of winning. In fact, if I had have won that first time, it would have been a disaster. Like the amount of media training that you need to be able to fulfill the role is quite intense, or at least life experience and a good head on your shoulders. And I would have like been cancelled 68 times by the time I started. So yeah, thank goodness I didn't win that time. That was the year that Sherry Lee Biggs won.
Oh yeah.
And she absolutely deserved it. And it all played out the way it was supposed to. And then I knew after that point I wanted to do it again because I was like, wow, I didn't even really try that hard. Like, let's do this properly. And because I'd come second, the second time I did it, I had a bit more of a support network within the community. So I had people offering to sponsor me a gown and it was just a whole new experience. And I really, bit egotistic here, but I really thought I had the second one in the bag. Which I absolutely didn't. I was standing there on stage. This was the time that Olivia Wells won, who's became a good friend of mine. She's amazing. But I was standing there with her and she I don't know. It's almost like she didn't really want it. Like she kind of was joking and she was just so chill. Like she knew that she wanted to go back to medicine and that was always her plan. And I was like, surely they're going to give it to the girl that like really wants to make something of this platform. Yeah. So we're standing there holding hands and her name gets called out and I was like, I'll be damned. Second twice. Like that is disastrous. So yeah, definitely had a bit of a period of being a bit down after that and like feeling like I had a bit of an identity crisis because you know how much work goes into preparing for those things. I felt really lost after that, but I was modeling and I just kind of channeled that for a little while and told everyone around me that I would never do it again. I was like, no way. Like imagine if I did it and I came last. Like, like it just was really nice that I'd come second twice and it felt like it booked me quite a lot of work in the modelling space and I was like, I'm happy with that. And then I remember one day my mum called me and this was like the year that I won and she was like, all the girls that have done it before are doing it again. Like you've beaten them before. Like come on Teagues, like just one more try. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Go away. Like I was so triggered by the topic. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. Like it was just one big trigger to me. And then very, very last minute, we're approaching the New South Wales state final and they'd like asked me to do it again and I just kept saying no to Deb and then I eventually, I think it was like a couple of days out, I hadn't been to the gym once, I hadn't trained, I hadn't done anything to prep like the usual Tegan and something within me was like, you just need to do this one more time. Like if you come like sixth or whatever, it's whatever, but if you win, like this thing could change your life. So I just didn't want to have that regret lingering over me. And I rocked up, did it, got through the state final and I remember saying to me, you did amazing and like you're going to do really well. She's like, but you're going to have to start training. And like I felt this like almost judgment from the judges like, oh, she's not in shape. Like this needs to change.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that was pretty rough. I was like, wow, they're judging my body and they're basically saying you're a great candidate, but go to the gym.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it was a good decision and I'm glad I really went with my gut on that decision, which is probably why I won.
Yeah. So you won and then you had the international competition, which I guess I'm sure that a lot of like your pageant fans will listen to this. But for people who don't know how it all works, it's essentially a franchise, right? Miss Universe.
Massive commercial business.
Yeah. And you win for your country and then all of the countries come together overseas somewhere. Where was yours?
Mine was in Miami, in Doral, Miami at Donald Trump's golf resort. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, I'm happy with this country. Like the food was similar. Wasn't going to be any disasters in that aspect. I thought I would be on top of it. But yeah, it was pretty interesting being at Donald Trump's golf resort with him and his entourage there every day.
Yeah. I guess I don't think 10 years ago you could have imagined how things would pan out.
No.
In that space, but we won't get into that.
Don't even go there.
So doing Miss Universe the third time around, how did you keep going when, the third time when you had come second twice? Like what was it in you that really pushed you to back yourself in? Because I think if I hadn't got it the first time, I don't think I would have done it again. Like I don't think I have that same, I don't know, drive.
I don't know. A lot of people were like, oh, she's tenacious. Like she doesn't take no for an answer. But if I'm honest, it wasn't this like fearlessness that it looked like it was from the outside. Like as I said, I was like, nah, I'm not doing this again. Like it is going to be social suicide if I don't win. Like I don't know, something came over me last minute. It was like a complete whim. Like ask any of my friends and family, they were like, she's not going to do it again. Like she's adamant. And it was honestly like I'm a little bit more into this stuff now, but back then I didn't know anything about intuition or gut feeling or anything. I was super logical and it was probably the first time in my life I really did follow like that gut niggle where it was like, no, this is the right thing to do. Give it a crack. I also am a bit of a risk taker, I will say. So like if you tell me like we're going to do this crazy thing, I'm the first person to say yes. And I don't really have that rejection like hangover that some people get. Like I'm on to the next project. Like if I don't succeed at something, I don't know what, that's just my personality. I don't really care like too much what people think in many aspects. I just move on to the next thing. And I think that helped me a lot. Yeah. So yeah, if anyone was in the same position, I would just say like, what, like who cares? Like if you don't win, like just never live with these little regrets where you could have had another crack and you don't because you care what people think or.
Yeah, that's such good advice.
Yeah. Probably.
My mum said to me before I went on stage for Miss Universe Australia, she said, please just don't cry if you don't win. I was like, okay, Mum, I don't think I will, but thank you. Good to know that's what you're thinking about.
There was a lot of tears backstage. Like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't win. I've come second for the 68th time. Like, I'll just go back to my job. And other girls were like sobbing. Like it was like their life was over. And I was like, I don't know. The whole thing is still like a bit laughable to me. Like the concept of it, like what we went through, how we prepared. I still just kind of laugh. Like I'm like, what the hell?
It's so strange. Yeah. I would love to know, we're going to get Daniel to ask both of us some questions together. Mm-hmm. But before that, if you were to go back to that period again, knowing what you know now and how things have panned out, would you do it again?
Like in this time, in this era or back then?
Back then.
Oh. Trauma. So much trauma.
The sounds are telling me no.
It's so hard because that year was like one of the worst years of my life after I won because I got sick with chronic fatigue. I was not coping with my adjustment to being in the limelight, and I was a lot more in the limelight back then. I didn't know how to like manage I didn't know how to like just go out with my friends and I don't know. I just went into hiding really. Yeah. But then I would say yes only because of what came after that, which was the most incredible experiences like being on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which was one of my favorites. All of the incredible hosting jobs I've done, like the travel, like everything that I've experienced in the last probably 8 years makes me say yes 1,000%. Okay. But that year, not good.
Yeah, we will get more into that.
I think you had a better experience than I did with the year.
I think this is why I want Daniel to ask both of us questions because we had very different experiences. Yeah. Although they were only a few years apart. Mm-hmm. But I think we also probably went in with different ideas of what it was going to be. Yeah. How did you feel when you won?
I was so happy because I'd been working towards that for so long. I remember sitting there doing my press interview and just being so over-prepared and like I knew every answer. Like I was ready for anything. I'd been like doing so much media training and putting myself out there to become the best candidate possible. But there was just so many things that were coming for me in that next year that I could have never anticipated were coming.
Like what?
Like being papped with my skirt having flown over my head and so my backside was across the news and like just being, I don't know, just like being so worried about what I said to anyone at any given time because it might have become something that derailed my career. I just felt like I couldn't trust anyone, and to an extent to this day I still really struggle with trust and trusting people. Yeah. I think like journalists and the media can be really freaking nasty. And I used to say to my mum, like, why are they making it so hard? I feel like I can't say the right thing or do the right thing. And I was so young, like they were trying to derail me, and they want to derail any girl that's been in Miss Universe Australia because it's just the perfect storm of a good story of like the pretty girl that wins the pageant says the wrong thing and stuffs up. Like it's it's, you know what it's like. I actually watched an interview the other day because I was trying to re-jog my memory about this experience for this interview because I feel like I've blocked a lot of it out because I didn't have such a good time. And it was just after I'd done Miss Universe, and the morning show hosts were like making jokes about like how I'd played golf with Donald Trump. And they were like, oh, was it like this? And one of them was bent over and the other one was squatted behind, and they were pretending like, you know, Trump was behind me playing golf, leaning over. And like, I was just like, oh God, I remember those sort of things happening all the time. Thank God I had this sense of naivety about me where I would just laugh things off. Now I'd probably punch him in the face. Like, I don't cop anything now, but back then I was very agreeable, very naive. I used to throw myself into things and just kind of like not really care about the outcome. I think there was definitely some aspects of being young that were positive as well.
Well, probably helped you to sort of stay in it, but then is that a good thing? Like, I think maybe it would be good for you to turn around and say something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As you would now.
Yeah, I think if I was just a little bit older, like as you were 25, I would have had a little bit more grunt about me. But yeah, there was a lot of interviews I look back and I'm like, oh, cringe. I wish I had someone kind of like mentoring me and showing me how to toughen up, because there were so many situations I was put in where I felt really uncomfortable or where I felt like I was being ridiculed, or, you know, I see it as a competition. Like, I don't think of it as a pageant. To me, it was always just a platform to, you know, project me into doing things I wanted to do, like being a voice for certain topics I was passionate about. And, you know, like the media career has led me to so many great things, hosting my own TV show in the wellness space. And to me, it was always just a platform. I didn't see it as like a toddlers and tiaras situation like some people do. But we'll get to that when we talk about the other girls at Miss Universe, because they definitely saw it like that.
Oh, yes, they did. I'm going to throw to you, Daniel, and let you ask us some questions.
What are you going to do with all that, Daniel?
The audience submitted questions on Instagram and via voice. So we have a lot of questions, and there was a lot of similar things coming up over and over again. But we'll run through a bunch of them, and there's a few really good voice ones as well, which we love. The first one, what was the highlight and your best memory for both of you?
You go first because you've got more highlights. Livy enjoyed her experience at Miss Universe a lot more than I did, I think.
Well, yeah, I think as you were talking then, saying you went in like so prepared as the best candidate and all this stuff, that was so not my experience. Like I went into it like a deer in headlights because I never thought I was going to win. I never did Miss Universe Australia with the intention to win.
I knew you were going to win, but whatever.
I did it as, you know, I got asked to do it, but girls were getting scouted constantly, and initially I said no, and then I was like, oh, well, like we'll see what happens. Mum and I thought it could be a good opportunity, and if they tell me to lose weight or if they tell me to do anything I don't want to do, I'll just pull out. And I thought, worst case, I don't get through and I make a few friends from, you know, with girls from all over Australia, and that's the end of that, and I'll keep doing whatever I want to do.
Weren't you wrong?
I was very wrong. So when I went in, I didn't want to then, I was just coming out of my eating disorder, and you know, I felt like I was getting on top of my recovery, and I was so nervous that I would slip up and end up picking up old habits. And yeah, so I was really careful with it, that I didn't go too hard and I didn't put too much pressure on myself, because I thought if I take it too seriously, it's going to be a slippery slope. So instead I was kind of just
definitely like an environment that could have set
definitely
that off for sure.
But so instead I tried to just enjoy the ride. And I think Vegas was a highlight. It was a weird time, but being over there and meeting all of these amazing women from all over the world was really cool. Yeah. And my roommate was Miss Ireland, and she was so funny. And I think sort of debriefing with her at the end of the weirdest days was a highlight for me. Just like getting back to our room, having snacks on the bed, and just talking about like the weird world that we were living in.
Did you have like no sleep as well?
Oh yeah.
And how many weeks was it?
And I had numb toes. Like at the end, it was 2 weeks, but at the end of 2 weeks, I could not feel my toes. I snuck in one run because we couldn't go to the gym.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing.
The weirdest thing. They're like, don't eat. They encourage you not to eat much. But
Did they?
Yeah, but then serve you like pizza, and then
oh my God,
and then you can't go to the gym, but they want you to be really fit and healthy. It's actually bizarre. But I snuck in a run, and as I was running on the treadmill, I'm like, why can't I feel my toes? This is so strange. But it's because I'd been wearing these ridiculous heels. Yeah, the whole time.
The tragic pumps.
But yeah, shoes. I think for me, the overseas trip was a highlight because I know that I'm never going to experience that again.
Yeah.
And not many people in the world get to experience that. So that was a highlight. Yeah. What was yours?
Mine was the same. It was meeting all of the girls, and my roommate was Miss USA, who, Nia Sanchez. She became a really close friend of mine. I ended up being bridesmaid at her wedding. Like, we were really close. We were doing confidence workshops around the States after Miss Universe, and I spent a lot of time over there with her and her husband, Daniel, staying at their house. Like, yeah, we were really tight. So the fact that an experience like that could bring two women from opposite sides of the world so close, we would similar. Like, we would get home from a massive day and know that we had like 4 hours sleep maybe till the next day of us being like completely hustled out to make money for the organisation. And we would be in bed, like having a cup of tea, reading pageant questions together. Like, so if you were a spider, what would you do? Like, I literally had hundreds of pageant questions, like this big pile, and Nia thought it was hilarious. But I was like, I didn't go to uni, bro. Like, I need to prepare for this. Like, I do not want to be the viral sensation Miss Teen video. Yeah.
That's
so
really fair.
the girls 100%, just meeting women from all different walks of life who had really incredible stories to tell, and seeing how we were all so different, but we were all in the same place doing the same crazy thing. And it's like, it's not even real when you repeat the story. People are like, what?
I know, it's very niche.
What was the low light?
You have more than me.
I got heaps. You go first, I'll think.
A low light was definitely prior to signing up for Miss Universe Australia, or during the sign up process. They say, let us know if you have any,
what are you going to say?
Like topless photos or
yeah, I remember
sex tapes or anything that might come out. And I was
like, shit, I've got hundreds of those.
No, oh God. I was like, no, I've got none of that. Like, I have nothing to worry about. Signed my life away.
I remember this.
And then I think it was maybe 2 weeks after I had won Miss Universe Australia.
Yeah.
And, you're thrust into the spotlight where suddenly people cared about what I was doing. And so people were trying to find things on me.
Yeah.
And I got a message from Troy, who owns Miss Universe Australia, and he
I remember this.
Said, I have been sent this topless photo of you. Heads up would have been nice. They're threatening to release it as a Daily Mail article. And I was like, oh my God. And straight away I couldn't even think of what it was. And I'm thinking, do I have an ex-boyfriend that's like out to get me, or like, but I don't even remember sending anyone a topless photo. So I was like going over these. I'm like, maybe someone's like photoshopped my face on something. I just couldn't think of what it was.
Oh no, that's so stressful.
But he said, you look 12 years old. And then it came back to me. And I remembered I was 19 and I had done this photo shoot in Sydney with a photographer for like a surfy thing. And he had convinced me to do some topless photos. And I was so unwell with anorexia at the time that my body was like a child.
Yeah.
And like it was so far from being sexy. It was, for me, I still find it confronting to look at, because I just know how sick I was at the time, and that I was willing to do these things that made me so uncomfortable because I thought that I had to be successful.
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact that they were threatening to release it made me feel sick, because I'd also never told anybody that I did that. I felt so embarrassed about it. And then I spoke to Troy, and Troy was amazing, and we decided that the best way to squash it was to just get ahead of it.
I was going to say, where was the publicist?
I scratched out my nipples using some editing app, and then I posted it myself, and I posted it as like a reflection on you know, how vulnerable I had been at the time and spoke about that time in my life. And then they never released it as an article.
No way.
So it was fine in the end, but the low light was just that moment of feeling like so overwhelmed and so out of control of my own life and my narrative. I'm like, wow, it's not up to me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I can't possibly control the images that come out of me, what people think of me. And that was just a really overwhelming day where I was like, what have I done? Like, why have I done this? This is really stupid.
Oh my goodness, I remember that. I think you were like speaking to me at the time, or maybe you called me, I don't know.
I think I called you after because I was like, I don't know what to, like, this
like,
is.
What have I done? And I was like, what have I done?
What have we done?
Yeah, okay. You just like articulated the feeling so well of that moment where you're like, I feel like I have no control of the narrative of my own life. And I had so many of those moments in the first year. And I do feel like they were some of the hardest times for me because you can't go back and unwin. Like there's nothing you can do from that point on. Like the only thing you really can do is perhaps step back and not throw yourself into it as much. But whatever you do, and everyone's going to make mistakes, is going to be former Miss Universe Australia does this. And for me, it was not long after I won, I was asked to go down to an activation in Bondi that set up an ice skating rink. And I said, what am I wearing? And they said, we've got you like a pantsuit. And I was like, cool. So I wore a G-string and rocked up thinking like I'm going to have pants on. And they had a mini dress that had like a pleated mini dress that was clearly going to fly up. And I was just like, oh my goodness. At that point, I didn't really think like they've set me up. But in hindsight, I did think that because it was like the windiest day on record in Bondi. And I was ice skating around with my antler sash on, which was the sponsor, like looking like an absolute twat with this sash on, like flitting around, and there was Paps like taking photos the whole time. And there was this one time that I bent down because they're like, just bend down. I can't remember what I was next to. Bend down next to the penguin, like whatever was next to me. And I bent down and they snapped this photo of my G-string, like my behind, but it was like my full, everything was just showing, and it went viral. Like you just like see them, like the articles dropping, and it makes you feel sick to the bone. Like I remember thinking like, well, Mum, what about my dad? What about my brother? Like how are people going to respond to this? Are they going to like make them feel uncomfortable about this? And then I got a call from one of my friends and she's like, you're on the news in Czech Republic for your like, you know, your behind. And I just felt sick. I was like, what have I done and how do I undo all of this?
That would have been so overwhelming.
Yeah. But it got better from there.
It's lucky you've got a cute butt.
I don't know. I would have preferred it to be kept to my partner's
Not a
vision
worldwide.
only. It was actually after Jen had, remember when her skirt fell down and so everyone was like, it's fine. Jen did it. I was like, yeah. And then one more was when I fell over the first day at Miss Universe. So I fell over and like had gravel and like bleeding sore all down my leg. And I was like, I have to get on the world stage in 3.5 weeks to 1 billion people. And I'm going to need some sort of fake plastic skin over my leg. Like I just didn't know what to do. So I'm trying to put fake tan around it the whole 3 weeks and trying to like, I had these big like it was so tragic.
Oh, that is awful.
That was not
terrible timing.
Not a vibe. Yeah.
How much luggage did you take to your international final?
A lot. Four bags, I think.
4 big
like
suitcases.
Giant suitcases, yeah.
Yeah, I had 6.
But we had first class and did we?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, I can't remember.
Good for you, doll. I didn't
I'm
get that.
trying to remember. I'm like, was that the jungle? I think, I don't know. Anyway, there was like, the national costume was 1 suitcase.
Yeah. No, my gown was 30 kilos.
Oh my gosh.
It was all hand beaded. It was so heavy. And that took up 1 suitcase. And then there was like a shoe suitcase. And I mean, it all sounds outrageous, but like we were expected to wear, you know, an outfit during the day and then a different outfit at night every day. and we didn't know what we were doing until the night before we were doing it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Same sort of thing for you. So like you have to be prepared for anything. So you literally need like gowns, really dressy gowns, as well as, you know, just anything and everything.
Sparkles.
Lots of sequins. This is why I don't like sequins.
I can't take myself seriously on this podcast.
Oh.
So the other thing was, I remember preparing all these outfits and having sponsors give me things, and I had this sponsor make my gown and everything, and then I rocked up and they were like, oh no, we're giving you all these things to wear. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to tell the sponsors back home that have made all these things or gifted me all these things that I'm not going to use? So my international gown was Sherry Hill, which was given to me once I was over there, and I really upset the lady that made my gown, which also upset me, but I had no say in the matter.
Yeah, you just do what you're told, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all did what we were told. Yeah, I had 6 suitcases and it was a right kerfuffle getting checked in because I actually got
we look like the biggest divas ever.
I got dropped to the airport by my ex-boyfriend reluctantly. We were still living together, but we were broken up. And it was really nice of him to take me because I had all this luggage. So he got me to the airport. Thankfully, I was like really paranoid, so I was really early. And when I got there, I realised I was missing a key part of my national costume, the fireworks. So I was like, because, you know, my national costume,
God.
I was the Sydney Opera House, and
Stop it.
it was inspired by Vivid, the light festival. So like the sails of the Opera House lit up, and on the back of me had to have
like a Year 10 art project.
the fireworks. Yeah, and I had forgotten the fireworks, and I turned to him and I was like, oh my God. Like I was just freaking out.
I've forgotten the fireworks.
And he was like, I will drive you back. And where we were living was like 45, a solid 45 from the airport. He said, I'll drive you back home, but I'm not going to bring you back to the airport. I was like, that's fair enough. So
do you not know that I'm Miss Universe Australia?
he did not care.
Not yet.
Do you know who I am now that I'm your ex?
I also had no money. So
I know. That's the other thing we need to talk about.
Oh, no
we
money.
have to talk about
so
that. That's so
I'm
interesting.
thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay also because I needed like an XL Uber to get back to the airport with my 6 suitcases. I got back home, got the fireworks,
I can't.
got an XL, loaded it up with all my suitcases, and then all the way there I'm thinking, cool, what am I going to do when I get to the airport and I have 6 suitcases, fireworks, and I'm just going to be standing there useless. So I get back to the airport and I called Troy. I'm like, Troy, what do I do? I am at the airport by myself, 6 suitcases,
First world
fireworks.
problem.
And he said, put your sash on.
Sort it out, Tom.
Put your
I
sash on.
remember. Yeah.
And I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm in Melbourne.
Put your fireworks and your sash on.
He said, put it on. I promise you it will work. So I put on my sash and then I'm standing there with my 6 suitcases. And this man, almost within the second,
Oh my goodness.
he looks at me and he's reading my chest and he's like, Miss Universe Australia. Are you? I was like, yeah, I am. And yeah, I'm going to the States. He was like, oh, okay, can we get a selfie? I said, we can have a selfie if you help me take all my bags to the check-in desk.
Oh
and he was like, sounds like a deal. So
you
yeah, we
just
took
jump
a selfie.
on, dollar roll you.
He helped me take everything, and I was walking through the airport with my sash on, feeling like the biggest dickhead of all time.
Let's not talk about the feelings that came over us wearing that thing.
Yeah, it's not good.
Tell us about your national costume, which you just touched on the Sydney
Opera House fireworks, yeah. Teagues?
Why does it make me laugh so much? Mine was I had a giant sun strapped to my back, like a sunset.
Gorgeous.
And I had these like beaded things coming over my front area. And it kind of felt like I was wearing a nappy. It was almost as difficult as building a 3-man tent. So when we got there, I remember the designer being like, so you've got to do this, 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 and this. And I was like, yeah, I've got it. I never listen. And then I got over there and I looked at Nia as I opened my suitcase and it literally filled the whole big size suitcase. And I looked at Nia and I was like, fuck, I forgot how to put this together. And so we're there like 11 p.m. at night trying to put this giant sun together, just laughing our heads off, like so delusional, had no sleep, and we're worried about strapping a sunset to my back. I just like it's the weirdest stories.
It is. It was a strange time.
Was that even the question? What was the question?
Yeah, national question.
Okay, good.
Next one's a voice question from Kat.
Hey Olivia, my name's Kat. I have followed you since you were Miss Universe Australia and ever since, and loved your journey. I also went to Miss Universe in 2021 to represent Ireland, and I feel so lucky and so proud to have had that experience. And I just wanted to know, is there anything, how was your overall experience? And also, is there anything that you would like to see Miss Universe do differently in the future and kind of maybe change about the competition? Thanks.
I think that the bikini part probably isn't necessary. So if they were to change it, I think taking that out.
It's an interesting thing in itself because I feel it's very similar to saying, let's put the Victoria's Secret angels in puffer jackets and like, let's see if we make any money off the show. Like, honestly, I agree it's dated, and I would never do that part particularly again, like parading around in a swimsuit and having people judge me on this, like my appearance and my weight, and it, like, awful. But I don't think it will change.
I think as long as it sticks around, it probably won't. I do think that they have done a few things over the years to improve, you know, diversity, and they're more inclusive when it comes to, like, they've had some trans people enter and trans women enter. And
I think the person who's purchased it is trans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have changed in positive ways. They've changed the age limit.
Yes,
so
unlimited.
It's also more inclusive, but still.
Give it another crack, doll.
Absolutely not. I think at the end of the day, you are still being judged.
Yeah.
But also that's what entering a beauty pageant is. Well, to answer the other part of the question, my overall experience was positive.
Me too, apart from that first year. I think I've made a lot of jokes on here because I'm a jokester, but overall, like, the way in which it's changed our lives and the experiences we've had, the opportunities it's afforded us, the people we've met, like the places we've seen, I would have never been able to do any of those things. I would have never financially had, you know, been able to access like the amount of opportunities that I've had.
Yeah, and I think that's also important to touch on is the cost of it all for us. We were so lucky that we had great sponsors that covered, you know, flights and all those 6 suitcases, they were sponsored, and outfits were sponsored, and hair and makeup sponsors and all these things. But that's definitely not the case for other countries.
No.
There were girls that were there
on their own wallet.
On their own there was a girl who had made her costume herself because she couldn't get anyone on board. So yeah, we were very blessed with the situation that we were in and how we were supported.
It was definitely tiered in that sense. There was countries like Colombia who had everything covered and the whole country was behind them. Then we were probably somewhere, Australia was in the middle of the tier where it was like we had a little bit of support but nothing outrageous. And then there were some countries, as you said, that had no financial support, no guidance, no mentorship, and it would have been really hard for them.
How do you think it's evolved over the last decade?
It has evolved into a completely different national competition.
In Australia.
In Australia. When I did it, I had a different owner of the organisation to Livy, and it was a pretty rigorous process, very competitive. The girls all turned on each other. Every time someone won, it was rigged. It was just this relentless process of like backstabbing, and it wasn't really that enjoyable. And I remember because when our friends bought it and you won under their guidance, I actually was coming over to as a mentor to a lot of your Bali trips and stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is such a different experience for these girls. They're making friends. They're participating in incredible charitable opportunities. They're like kind of encouraged to make lifelong friends. And there was this element of competitiveness that was removed by the owners. They did such a great job at that.
Yeah.
However, I do think that the landscape has shifted significantly in regards to when I won. There was not really many other ways to come into the media. Like there was athletes or people that had done something really crazy and had a big background story. And there was Miss Universe Australia that a lot of girls were entering as a platform to have a voice and do great things with their life. So that was really a big thing back then. But nowadays the competition has shifted so much because of social media and the amount of other ways that you can develop a profile.
Yeah. I think that that's changed in the last 7 years as well since I did it. I couldn't have done it when you did it, the way that it was managed. I don't think that I never would have won. I don't think I would have. I think that with the new owners, well, they're not so new now, but they were new at the time, Troy and Soph, the way that they saw the competition and the way that they managed things, it was a much safer environment for, me coming out of an eating disorder and with my mental health, that I said to them, I don't think that I will be able to continue if you tell me to change anything about myself. And they were like, we love you as you are. We don't want you to change. And they were really encouraging and they wanted me to very much be myself, and they weren't really pushing me to, do too much training and things that maybe I should have done in hindsight. Not training in terms of like fitness, but I mean like, my walk and question and answer and that kind of thing. They were really supportive and amazing. And I do think that they shifted it in a great way. Whereas like, I think previously if you didn't win, then you probably didn't have a great experience. Whereas I think a lot of the girls now, even if they don't win, they come out with a lot of friends and they've built their confidence and they've been able to benefit in other ways.
Totally. And that's why when girls ask me, I say you should do it because you're going to come out winning either way.
But I think don't go in with the intention to win, because at the end of the day, only one girl wins.
You just come second like 4 times and get depression.
But I also think, like you said, there weren't as many ways to build your platform back then. So there weren't as many girls on social media with big followings from other things. So, if you look back at like Rachel Finch, she ended up with this platform. She was on our TV screens. Yeah. She was everywhere suddenly. But over the years that's shifted where those jobs don't exist for one, but there's also so many other people competing for them. So it's really different. I don't think it gives you the leverage now that it used to.
Absolutely. Even from doing reality TV myself, there's always like a character in Celebrity Apprentice and in I'm a Celebrity. It was the same. It was like the young female model, like former Miss Universe Australia. There was this character and role that they were filling each year, and that used to be with the former Miss Universe Australia or someone in that space, and now it's people from reality shows, like someone that's been on Love Island or MAFS and there's no denying that those shows are kind of taking over.
Yeah.
I think I would just tell girls to be like not having too big expectations about what it was going to bring them. And it really depends on the girl as well, because there's been girls like very recently win in this current landscape and do really great things with it. But there's been other girls that have really struggled, and I think sometimes women go into it with an expectation that they're going to win and like the next day everything's going to be handed to them on a silver platter, which is absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with some of the girls?
Yeah.
You? Yeah.
We still have a WhatsApp group with all the girls.
Oh, the international girls.
Yeah.
Oh. I think I exited that years ago.
Oh, really?
It was just going off all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the answer is yes.
Like I got the news for that feedback.
It's pretty easy with social media to keep in touch with people.
We also like each other's stuff and follow each other. And then like the Australian girls, we all have this like little thing at events. We're like, I know what you've been through.
The alumni. I know what you've been through.
We were actually in an event at Fashion Week last week, and it was you and myself and Francesca, and we were taking a photo and everyone's like, like, they're all Miss Universe.
Well, Cassidy was there and she was like, you three were all Miss Universe? And we were like, oh, yeah. And she's like, wow, it's so cool to see.
Yeah, we're all so different.
So different.
Well. Like our personalities, our looks, it kind of goes to show that there's no like rule book as to how you need to be to win.
Yeah, definitely. We are part of this like very niche alumni that, I don't think it'll go away for us.
No, apparently not. People will still be introducing us as former Miss Universe Australia in our 60s and we will be cringing.
Oh, not today.
And Tegan, you mentioned before that you're still friends with Nia Sanchez and she sent in some voice because you couldn't remember some of your experiences.
I've blacked it out.
We'll play that now.
Okay.
Love you. Cannot wait to talk to you next week. We have so many stories. On day one, didn't you fall and scrape the whole front of your leg and you were like taking care of it every single day, like trying to nurse your leg back before we had to be on camera, on stage? Obviously, I hope you remember how we got in so much trouble for having a refrigerator in the room, which is totally my fault. And they got mad at us for like wanting to pop popcorn. And we asked for like hot water every night for our tea. And they were like, you can't keep ordering hot water. But we're like, but it's free. And they're like, no, stop it. And what else did we do? We got in trouble for, remember when the lady came in and was like yelling at us for like how messy our room was and like, and your beds are disgusting. Dang. If I'm trying to win Miss Universe, but if I don't win, I need you win so you could be my roommate and we could just live together for the rest of the year when you're Miss Universe. What else? So many crazy things. Donald Trump was obviously around all the time. We did like putt golf thing and he came over. He was like coming over to specifically watch Diana Miss Ukraine. Gosh, so many.
So funny hearing her. She's so cute. She's actually really big now. She's on The Valley, the Bravo show, The Valley, and I'm getting messages all the time saying, is that your friend Nia from Miss Universe? Because we put out so much content together during those few years that people still remember her as my roommate from Miss Universe.
Well, you guys were running like a confidence workshop, I remember.
Yeah, we did lots of that sort of stuff and we had like a Tegan and Nia channel and a lot of our videos were getting a lot of press and like going really viral and I don't know, we kind of just formed this friendship that was getting a lot of attention and like it was just this really wholesome, beautiful friendship. But clearly we got up to some naughty things at Miss Universe, like ordering cups of tea. You wouldn't want to do that. I do remember the day that they said like, someone's come into your room and it was like disgusting. Like I think one of the minders, because we had people minding us and we weren't allowed to go anywhere without them, told us like, yeah, one of them said like, do you really think that Miss Universe could have a bedroom like that? And I was like, are you joking? Like we have 4 hours of sleep. You're making us hustle all day at like 4 or 5 events. We come home, we're expected to look perfect from top to bottom. I've got gravel in my shin. Like give us a break.
I've got gravel in my shin.
Like it was honestly just such a bizarre experience.
Yeah, it was. Something that springs to mind is like because the other countries were so into it and took it so seriously. Not every single one, but a lot of the girls, like they live and breathe pageants and this was their life goal to be there. And I just remember my year, maybe I shouldn't say the country. Miss Columbia.
I've got a few stories about Miss Columbia.
She was so beautiful.
Did she win?
No. Miss South Africa won my year, cool. Demi. But Miss Columbia, it was so funny. I realised early on that no matter what I said to her to compliment her, she'd never say anything back. So I almost started like playing like a game. I'd be like, I wonder what I can say today. And
you
like see
terrible
if she'll say
today,
back.
doll.
Oh no, she always looked so good. So I was genuinely complimenting her, but I was interested to see how she would respond. And every day was the same. She'd like open her mouth really wide. She's like, thank you.
And that was it.
And that was it. So I'd be like, oh, I love your dress.
Do I look good
Thank
too?
You.
It's so funny. funny.
I just don't think I did.
I actually think there was a small group every year of like Spanish speaking girls who just did not want to borrow of anyone else. They just stuck to their circle and spoke Spanish, and we couldn't get in on it at all.
One of the girls was actually bitching about, so a question that came through was about, you know, how much bitchiness there is, and the Spanish speaking girls collect together, but also because in my year there were a lot that they couldn't speak much English. So, you know, they needed the support of one another.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of girls in the bathroom bitching about Miss Egypt. And Miss Egypt my year was such a cool girl. She was awesome, so smart, so funny. And
did you strangle them with a sash?
Well, no, she heard it. She was in one of the cubicles and they were bitching about her in Spanish. Little did they know she spoke so many languages and one of them was Spanish. So she came out of the cubicle. I didn't see it. I wish I did, but apparently it was iconic. And she just started speaking in Spanish and said, like, I know exactly what you were saying.
Yes.
And, like, and pulled them up on it. Yeah, I know. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
But generally I didn't feel that much bitchiness.
The girl that won our year was not the nicest girl in the room, and everyone knew, like everyone thought she was going to win, and she carried herself in this way of like, I've got this, like I think you should all just leave now kind of thing. And she didn't really engage that much with anyone, like no one. You know when, like you said before, like some of them just can't speak English, but you still can get the vibe if someone is a friendly, pleasant person who it's all about, like they say the universal language is a smile. And I felt like that was really prominent at Miss Universe. Like I really knew which girls, whether there was a language barrier or not, were the friendly ones by the way they smiled or the way that they looked at me in the morning. Like you don't need to speak the same language to understand each other.
Yeah.
And she just, I don't think she cracked a smile at many people once the whole time. So I was genuinely like, surely she can't win. Like, don't they want someone that is a really likable person?
Don't they want me? Is that what you're saying?
I knew it wasn't going to be me, but maybe Nia.
This is my question, which is what is it like to be a part of a, I guess, pre-presidential Donald Trump running an event, which now he doesn't anymore? What was that experience like with him?
So I had no idea that he was going to be the future president at the time, but I definitely knew that he was a huge character with a huge profile, and he had a lot of other titles at that point. And I was like one of the girls that he spent a lot of time talking to, or he would come over and we would have like these minor interactions. And I don't know, I just would watch him. I was fascinated. I was like, what is going on? We're here at Donald Trump's golf resort in Miami, and he's got an entourage of golf mates, and they're walking around playing golf, popping into our rehearsals where we were doing our walking rehearsals and just watching us like walk and do these things. I was like, I don't know, like people would always be like, oh, it's a bit of Hugh Hefner. And I'm like, no, it's completely different, but it's still weird. Like, you know, it's Donald Trump, and I don't know why he's hanging around. Like he owned it and he made a lot of money out of it. And then one day he was talking to me and he said, Australia, because no one called us by our actual names. Australia, come here. My mate Skippy's on the phone. I was like, what? And so he put his phone up to my ear, and there was all these photographers, snap, 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 snap. And that photo went viral. It was like, Miss Universe Australia is talking to Trump. He's got his phone up to her ear. And I was like, hello? He's like, hi. And I was like, hi, Skippy, I'm Tegan. Like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, I don't even know what to say to this guy. But it was this really strange moment that went kind of viral. And I had a few photos with him and a few of those interactions, but he definitely had his favourites.
I have heard that. Well, Trump didn't own the comp when I was in it. So
is there like an equivalent though of someone that you felt that you needed to be seen by? Does that make sense?
Yeah, the owner of, well, it was owned by IMG, and then, God, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but yeah, there was a woman who ran the whole thing, and when she walked in, everyone sort of held their breath.
Yes.
Yeah, but
everyone like stands up straighter and like, you know, like flicks their hair, and I'm not really that girl that can like suck up, so I'll stand back, and I think just because I had the Australia sash on, I got lucky enough to be able to chat to him a few times. But I did notice how friendly he was too, like the people that opened the door for him. And like, I'm a bit of an observer, and I was kind of standing back watching him and in his interactions with people. And I actually thought he was quite respectful. And yeah, that's all I tell people, because I won't open up any more cans of worms about him.
We're going to wrap up with a very quick oranges and lemons.
Oh,
lemon being your more negative thing that has happened either today or over the last few days. And then your orange is your highlight.
oh God, I have so many lemons every day. I'm the most unorganized person that is always having last minute stuff ups. I don't know. My flight was delayed last night and I was fuming because I don't like going to bed too late. A highlight in the last week?
Can be, yeah.
I've been filming a TV show which has made me feel really good because I feel like I'm born to be in front of the camera, but throughout COVID there was a long time there where I just wasn't booking a lot and it just wasn't very good for my confidence. I started to kind of doubt myself and think it was about me, but I've realised that the industry as a whole is just very different at the moment, and there's not as much money circulating and it's just a bit of a different landscape right now, but I feel like I'm coming back into my confidence with my work again. So, yeah.
Good. I love that for you. My lemon is that I'm iron deficient and I'm just
you're in the right place, doll. Come into my clinic.
Yeah, fix me, please.
Oh.
I found out the other day.
When did that happen?
Oh, I've had a few things going on.
Because you had a much bigger lemon a few weeks ago.
Yeah, my heart, but...
Not talking about the divorce. We're well past that.
No, not that. Not that old.
That kind of heart.
No,
that was a lemon though.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did I mention that last week? I think I did. Yeah. No, I've had a few health things going on, but I am iron deficient and I'm just so tired all the time. I'm going to yawn.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I went to get an iron infusion and the doctor put me off because have you heard of iron staining?
Yeah, when you can become quite sick from it.
No, like it. If it
goes orange
during the infusion, it can, if it misses your vein at all or it like spills out, then you can
I can't even talk about this.
End up with this like big mark on your arm, and it's permanent. And I was like, I was so excited at the thought of an infusion. I was like, I'm going to be bouncing off the walls. It's going to be amazing. And then she was like, maybe just take some supplements.
Come into my student clinic, doll. I'll sort you out.
Okay, get me some
Low
socks.
iron is so common. I haven't even spoken about that, so we won't go into it. But I am in student clinic at the moment doing my Bachelor of Health Science, and low iron is like every third person. So we're obviously not eating enough.
Yeah, I don't eat enough red meat, so there's that. Anyway, and then
your orange.
My orange is that the sun has been shining and...
So true. Never
it's
does
very
that in
rare
Melbourne.
this time of the year in Melbourne. So every time it's out, I am just loving it. I love the blue skies and I'm making the most of it.
That's a good one.
Except the sun makes me sleepy. Anyway.
I love low iron.
Thank you so much. I could talk to you forever and I feel like there's so much more we could unpack, but also... It might have to stay off the mic because I feel like we could end up getting ourselves in trouble.
There's a lot that could get us in trouble
There's a
here.
lot.
We've given them enough.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Thank you so much for coming on, Tegs.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Tell Me More. This show wouldn't be possible without you. If you'd like to show your support, please subscribe or follow the podcast on your favourite platforms, and don't forget you can watch full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.